Welcome to this DVD to Stand on a Stone. This is an accompaniment for the book of the same title. Now, what I want you to realise is when you're going to watch this DVD, you're going to see a few chapters where I'm narrating my concept, but the majority of chapters are going to be in the gym. You're going to see them done for real. But when you're watching this, what I want you to remember is training is training and combat is combat. When you see us train, the person on the other side is not going with it, and they're not going with it. They're just allowing me to learn the body mechanics. And during each of the chapters, more towards the end, I show it in more of a realistic context. So please remember that training is training, combat is combat. And when you train, you're not fighting. So what I want you to do is go through the chapters, take each bit of the chapter with you, and then try it yourself, come back and do another chapter. Or just generally watch it all the way through. But please remember that it's here for learning. I'm not trying to display to you my skills. I'm trying to get you to make your own martial arts up, to learn yourself and to actually progress and grow. And class this DVD as an acorn. So you plant the acorn, you think about the concepts and you think about the training, you go away and train, and then you come back with, yeah, I understand that, and then move on. Thank you, enjoy the DVD. Welcome, my name's Anthony Cummins and this is To Stand on a Stone, the DVD. 50 fundamental principles for the martial arts. This is my plan here and my students, and I hope you enjoy the DVD. Chapter 1, Stand on a Stone. I've chosen to narrate this one as it's more of a psychological concept. What I mean by this is when you start training, you realise that the more intimidating people used to be, the less they become. And the more threatening situations used to be, becomes less threatening. You start to raise above, and you realise that if you're in a crowd, your skills have taken you to a certain level. It's all you've stood on a stone. And you can look out above the crowd, and you can see those who have not really followed a path of the arts, have not really tried to push themselves and become more drones of society. And then you can automatically see the people who are not and have actually followed a path, whether it be an artist, whether they be a filmmaker, whether they be a writer, anybody who's got passion for life suddenly rise above on this rock. And you all stand on this rock and you can see society as a whole, you can see other people who are trained in different things, and it's a nice feeling. So what I want you to do is realise when you start your martial arts training, or if you're continuing your martial arts training, that you will rise onto this rock, but you must rise and you must realise that you must do it with temperance and you must not get an ego. So enjoy the DVD and enjoy the rest of the chapters. Chapter 2, the 5 elements. Now this is a strange one and it's really difficult to get away from the classic martial arts stereotype. Now, the 5 elements are earth, wind, fire, water, void. The problem with these is people have them too stereotyped and it's too done by the 60s films. So I'm going to be quick and brief with this and simple. Fire. This is not aggression. It doesn't mean you fight aggressively. It means you fight with intent, and you fight at a certain time with intent and a high energy. If you fight like that too long, you do find yourself burning out and you can't keep it going. Water. Now this goes ridiculously in depth. One of my instructors has gone through the academics and studied how water works, and from that, from the vortexes in water and placing rocks in water and watching how the vortexes go and watching how vortexes of water work on a salmon's fins, he's been able to transfer that into the martial arts for effortless power and a more fluid motion. So as I say, this is a bit simple here, but it's to give you that less of a stereotype that you're going to go with on these 5 elements. Then wind. The wind element is literally a very Aikido style one, where we're taking people's energy and we're using it with them and we're going round them, and it's more persuasive martial arts than it is straight in there. So you will use that one in a more dynamic and flowing way. As for earth, earth is very solid, lots of hard strikes, lots of striking on the yaw. We'll go through it in later chapters, but the earth is where you're very low seat, very stable stance and very straight in there for destruction of bones. Lots of bone on bone and bone breaking. It is very earth in its dynamics. Now void is such a difficult one because we have people use metal or they use void, but this, if you keep it for your own interpretation, would be simply, when an attacker comes, is not allowing them to understand where your attacks come from, using deception, using unconventional means to confuse them and put them in a place where they cannot understand what's going on, and take them into the realms of subconscious combat, because usually a thug or an attacker will be giving you the straight on attacking. So with the void, it's a bit more complicated, but you want to look at it as more of a deception and lateral thinking in your martial arts. So as I say, the very quick concept roundup there, but don't get bogged down in what we class as the classical cheesy fire, earth, wind, water, void. So try and think of them more in depth. Start studying each element, study them as academically, study them philosophically, anything you like to do, but go into them in more depth. Chapter 3, the balance points. Now, you'll find there are 6 balance points on the human being. The first one is through the eyes and ears here. The second one is through the shoulders across here. The third one comes roughly around the elbow and across this point here to the second elbow. The next one, the fourth one, it actually joins the wrists through the hips to the other wrist. The fifth one comes at the knees here, and the sixth one gets the ankles in this point. So for example, if you have somebody here, all you have to do is find one of these balance points and affect that balance point here. Kevin. The second one comes through the shoulders here. This is where you affect one of these. Then from these points, this one. Then, again, any of these will interrupt balance. Interrupt that one there, go kill the balance. Alter these points at different 3-dimensional spaces. So for example, punch, so the punch comes in, this is a balance point. You alter here, change to this one, change to that one, and you'll move them as you go along. Grab. So you've 1, 2, 3. There we go. 4, 2. There. So all you have to do is punch. Is you have to affect one balance point, another balance point. These, and it will go down. There. So for example, come at me. If you move here, you've got this balance point. Take this over. Take another one, shift them like this. So first of all, this here is a balance point. You simply move it out. You cannot come against that. Again, punch mix. Here, you find, and then what you'll find is it comes to a point where you can't push them anymore. So you simply change to another balance point, maybe get 2. There, and they'll easily go down. There, and they'll easily go down. One more time. So this time we've got here, there. And we'll just shift that. There, all the balance points will go down. And it can be this simple. So 1, if you watch his body there, pushing. Now I'm starting to pull him, so I need to change. So we change, and it's literally that easy to come down. So Nick, there. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So strike. Yeah, you'll find he goes down quite easily, especially if you're striking here. Okay. Chapter 4, the natural swing gait. What people don't realise is when they walk, is they don't walk correctly. What you have is you have the hips central, and you have 2 points here. What you must do to walk is you must apply pressure through this foot. When you apply pressure, this creates a natural swing here. You never force your foot forward, it's always pressure, this releases a muscle here, and it swings. Pressure, muscle, swing. So then when you get a student in, this is the true power where the martial arts comes from. So, for example, if I just literally press down and allow that to swing, I can get, yeah? You okay? Yeah? I can get that power through here. For example, if I kick Mike, in this sense, I don't actually formally kick him, what I'll do is walk around Mike, I just kick in that point. That natural swing gait stops all. So just attack Michael. This way. This is where it stops. And again, we go back to the balance points. This here. Simple as that. Okay, so what you need to do, you need to learn to walk by pushing down and just laterally swinging across. So you need to have this form of walk, where it looks a bit strange, but this is what you do. You walk from the hips. Again, Mike and walk to each other. Yeah? This way. Balance point, in it goes. One more time. So you get the natural walk, swings up, and you'll find that's where you stop them. Whilst you do this, and whilst you have this swing gait moving forward, your arms naturally move opposite to the others. You get a lot of people who try and put too much form into martial arts, and what you should do is walk from your hips, push it down, swing. You get this type of walk, however, it comes purely from this power joint. So Nick, you allow this natural swing, so grab Nick. So I've got this grab, what I'll do is allow this. This allows me to naturally come here. Now watch. It's the power, there's no pressure, there's absolutely no pressure from me. I'm not like, come on, like push against me Nick. It's not like this. What I do is I push, or give it some welly. I drop here, swing. This is where it comes in. Natural power from the walking gait here. Okay, so simply, if you walk a minute, you need to walk in this rhythm. And you need to keep it through here. And then realistically, without over-exaggerating that, you'll have to walk, so come at me, if you like. This is where you come. It's that simple, it's the power from here. It's a transition of power to this point. Yeah? These points here. Chapter 5, pitch, roll and yaw. The human walk is broken down into 3 major sections. For a human to actually go through its movement phase, it must do the first of the 3. The first one is called pitch. Now pitch is simply the movement of your toe putting pressure down and your heel lifting up in this fashion. So it's simply, that is pitch. And what it does is it aligns the pressure down as we talked about in chapter 4. So we're in pitch at this point. We go into the second element, which is roll. And the roll is where the weight goes fully on this, you get your swing gait, allows it to go through, and you're a floating element in the universe, so you swing there. And that is the roll section, that's the second one, roll. The third one, from roll, we need to go into yaw. As you're actually swinging through your walk, what you need to do is allow your foot, your heel, to land in this fashion. That is yaw. Before your foot touches the ground, you are still in the roll position. So we have pitch, roll, yaw. Again, we're going to pitch, where the ball of the foot goes down and the heel comes up. Then we move through the roll, where your body rolls on your hips. And then yaw is where the foot hits the ground. Now that is the basics of all martial arts. If you learn about them points, you'll be able to manipulate anybody's skeletal structure in any fashion. To manipulate someone in the walk, what you do, so if you go into a pitch for me, if somebody's in pitch, you must always manipulate backwards. So if they go into pitch, you change. The natural body wants to go backwards. So one more time, in pitch. The natural body wants to go backwards in this sense. Also, so if you walk towards Mike, this is in pitch. Yep, then body weight wants to go backwards. Again. Yep, it will not, it cannot overcome that roll. Okay, it's here, just before it hits, that we can manipulate anyway. Again, Mike. So as he walks, you can find that there. That's the roll. Again. So I get a balance point, and as he walks, I wait for his leg to come up. There. Yeah. And one more time. He comes in, just comes. There. With yaw, what we do is the body's coming forward, so you have to collide with it. You have to strike whenever yaw comes. So as he goes to pitch, roll, and then to yaw, this is where we come. You take them out. One more time. So as his body comes down, it's this pressure here. Chapter 6. Now this is the 3 points. What you'll find is that everything is made up of geometrical structures. So any form of the skeletal form you can find triangles within it, because triangle is the most basic shape and it's the most powerful shape. So if we get Kev, what you'll find is if you create a triangle, people are strong. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and he has control of me now. It's literally, he has control. So what people find, they often try and break against these things. What you need to do is you need to collapse your skeletal system and take away that triangle. So, there. Now, gone. Okay, if I go back to that triangle, there. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to break that triangle this way. That's as simple as it happens. Again, if somebody grips you in this sense, you get a rectangle. They're basically 2 triangles together. So all I do is I break one of the triangles. In this sense. Now I'm not actually doing it with my arm. My arm is doing none of the job. It's a hook in, hip, natural swing game. There we go. So if I get any of them, now we can find triangles anywhere. So they're here. So what I do is I just break that. And then we get another triangle here. So I just break that. Then we have another triangle here and I break that. Until the skeletal structure is broken. So as he grabs, all I do is I break the triangles down. And I do it so it becomes free flowing. And the triangles break. And then if you add to that the strikes, the triangles are gone in an instant. So I'll slow that down for you. So you got this, you got triangle. There, you can see, if you look here, we've got triangles. All you have to do is push, push. The triangles break. He's not falling with it. What happens is I'm literally knowing where to push, get rid of his balance point. In that sense. So if you just take a step forward, Kev. So 1. See there? The triangle. Yeah? This triangle here. Yep, that's it. So again, if we manipulate that, there's a triangle. All I do, you find a triangle here, manipulate it. You just find these triangles everywhere in this point. Then, all the way up we go. And you find them everywhere. Just interrupt them, it'll interrupt his pan. Let's have one more go, Ken. I'll change it from that. Right, now we have a classic inverted triangle. All I need to do is break that triangle. So now take control of me, Kev. Yeah? Kev's quite a strong lad. So what I do is now break that triangle. Go for it. Yeah? All he's doing is moving this around. Okay? Simple as that. So take the strength away from him. Follow energy. Yeah? Again. Take the strength away. Yeah? Now what we do is go to grab, take that triangle away. This way. In this sense. Again, break. Any way you go, just basically break the triangle in this way. Again, he's relying on these triangles here, just push. Boom. Push. Yeah, there we go. Chapter 7. 8 plus 8 plus 3 equals 0. Strange chapter name, I know. But what this means is, I'm going to show you very basics of swordsmanship. And when I say basics, I mean this is the absolute basics and what you should learn as a fundamental start. What we got, obviously, is the Japanese sword here, but it's irrelevant of what type of sword you've got. The human body is the same. Any sword, you'll go through it, obviously depending, it's not a completely weird one. Right, now, the first cuts are the first 8 cuts. What you have, to hold a sword, you must loosely grip with this finger and tightly grip with this, backing up with the second one. The first cut is a simple overhead, down. The second cut is diagonally down in this fashion. The third one is across the side of someone's body in this way. And the fourth one is up through the torso. The fifth one is straight up and to the top. The next one is from this end right the way up through, and then again across, and then lastly down. So that's the 8 cuts. But then again, you have 8 directions. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now they're the 8 directions. So now we've got 8 cuts that go across this version, 8 directions, but to add to that you have 3 levels. So we've got the head, the torso and the knees. So each one of these cuts can be done high or it can be done low. You can then do it in the centre or you can get low and cut. These type of things, you can then move between all the cuts. You can reverse any cut you do is in one of them and in one of the directions. Obviously I'm up and down, if anybody leaps on you. So Kev, can you bring me a book? And we have the 8 cuts, the 8 directions, the 3 levels. This creates a sphere anywhere. People get the misunderstanding that swordsmanship is 1, 2, heavy. It's not. If you're at this point and somebody's here and you're in some sort of combat, any cut can come from here. We all know that's the cut from up here. So if I take it, it's this cut. But I can't get that, so what I mean is this. And all I need to do is manipulate my body and cut. And then we can come in and slice. That, even though it's a backward slice from me, is literally just simply that cut. So all the cuts, you don't need to be dogmatic with it. All you have to do is realise, practice them cuts, and realise no matter what position you're in, you can create that cut from there. Okay, so that's the very basics of swordsmanship, but what you need to do is you need to practice them cuts, practice the area, and realise you can reach anywhere around you with the sword, no matter where you are in this way, and again, the cut. Chapter 8, pointing. Now what you don't realise is that if you watch a lot of martial artists, they usually extend their index fingers. And this seems to be taken on by the media and manga and pushed into sort of like iconographic images of martial arts now. But there's actually a reality behind it. Now of course we have a piece of cane. Now what pointing actually does is it changes the physique and it changes your muscle structure. So a simple test to prove this is what you do is you grip a bendable stick as hard as you can. Now you grip this and try and break it within your hands, but without bending it. Then simply all you do is extend your fingers and you'll find it starts to bend in the middle. So we then show you on another level, you push it as hard as you can, then you extend, you'll see it bends. Okay, now what that does is it puts extra power into anything you have. So Nicholas. So if I try, now you must never ever use just strength. So if I try and push off Nick's grab, it's not going to work. What I do is I push from my swing gate in this direction. But it's easier for my mind to realise if I just point, it has to move him. So I'll simply just point to where I want to go. Work against them, just simply point. And then what we do is just point in this direction. There we go. In that sense. Now, this works, and you get that. You just simply point where you want to go. And you point at things. And you'll find, psychologically, it will help you, but realistically what's happened is, you've changed your body from this, relax, to this. And then you just manoeuvre wherever you want. And you put that in there, it's just simply a point. And there you go. And yeah. So again, this also works. When you're locking, and people try and lock, what you do is you just point, lock in this way. So again, we got that, we're just going to put that extra pressure in, and then the lock comes. Again, I want to point this way, in there. Remember, we can just simply relax, point, and where we want to go is where we end up, point. And then you simply just move. Now, what is Nick's very strong, and he'll be tensed up here, which is good, and you can prove it works, go as hard as you can. Right, and all I do is just simply point and move. But what realistically happens is when you walk, this is where I point. Okay, so when they're in the middle of their walk, simply point. Even go balance point, move, there. Okay. Now, in the lock, which I'll go through later, what we do is we add the point in, and this, where I want to point, will increase my muscle structure against his spine, which I'm going to use it against in this fashion. There we go. Now, it'll actually, there we go, Michael. So, again, just use the point in this way. Kevin, each person locks, what you do is just add to that. Okay. As he attacks, what I do is I simply point out of the way. And if he grabs first, as he attacks, you point down. Then where do I want to go? I just simply point to it. And you'll find it alters your actual movement and your structure, and you simply manipulate through him by adding these points in. Pointing also comes, you see in a lot of manga and a lot of martial arts films, they point out like this. Now there is a reality behind this, because if you cut, a lot of people try and cut, and that's what they want to do, they want to hack at somebody's line. Now what I do is I use the points instead. What it does is watch, it alters the grip, and you get more of an arc through your cut. And what I do, instead of trying to cut into Nick's neck, what I'll do is I simply want to point over to the ground, so then I just point, and it will cut straight through. If I just go to cut him, it's literally a hack. What I do is I alter my position with the point, and I sweep it through and take the head off, and the head will fall off. Chapter 9, sensitivity and awareness. Now, these two elements are really, really important to the martial arts. Now, first of all, you get sensitivity. Sensitivity is where you can understand what is around you, what you're touching, who's touching you, and be aware of everything around you, which is where awareness comes in. So where you get the sensitivity of people's touch, you also get the awareness of everything that is around you. You live in a three-dimensional space, and in combat, you're different entities moving within that three-dimensional space, constantly touching each other. So what you need to do is you need to have a sensitivity of who's touching you where and what part of their body is, and then the awareness of what's going on. First of all, any martial encounter will start with a person interacting with another person. So as you grab Nick, what I've got to be aware of now is we're touching on the foot, we're touching here further up, we're touching here, and I'm here and here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of contact just here. Now what I need to do is have the sensitivity to feel that in a fraction of a second, and then I need to have the awareness of what's around me, and then through my spinal movement I just manipulate them points, and it's through that sensitivity you work out what's going on. So we get to this point, now I have this here, this here. Now I can feel there's pressure coming from here, so his body wants to go this way, so I'll let it go this way. Yeah, that's the way he wants to go. There we go. Okay, so if you come up, Nick, now what you've got to be able to do, you grab, Nick, just grab there, you've got to have that awareness of here, where it's coming, exactly. Now you've got to know, and you've got to be able to find the points directly there, okay? Just do a grab, Nick. I want you to grab that tight, yeah? What I want you to do now is when you're ready, punch. There. Again. Grab again. There. You can feel it, so what you can do is grab tight as though you're going to, right, then what you're going to do, wait a while, then when you're ready, punch. There. Now what I'm actually doing, there's nothing magical in there. All I'm doing is instead of concentrating on this, I have an awareness of this, and I've got sensitivity with this point. So if I just hold, when you're ready, there. What he does is he sends me a signal through his body that he's moving, and I've learned, and I know that signal he's going to punch. Yeah, so if you just grab Nick, just get a grab. Right? Now what I want you to do, Nick, is try and manipulate my body, just move me. There. Okay, and again, just grab. Yeah, it's because what happens is I know the structure of this human body is here. Yeah? It doesn't matter where he is, I can't see him, but I know exactly how the bones work and how the lock works. Here, once I've got this sensitivity, I can run down, I can manipulate these points in this sense. So you've got to be able to have this. So in reality, when you're in a fight, you've got this point, somebody comes at you, and then you've got another person who comes, so he's gripping, I've got this man here, I need to have the sensitivity of where these guys are coming in this way here. And then, when I've got this, I need to stop it from working in here. The pinches are the best as well. This, the 2 points get the point in there. Okay, thank you, Mike. So what I need is when somebody comes, is to have that awareness. Now I know this is gripping, this is pushing, so that's my way out. Okay, one more time, Nick. Do that again. Yeah. So you take that same grip. Yeah. It's changed now. You're pulling it back that way. So I've got to go round this here and the throw. In that sense. Okay, so the main issue you must have when you're learning sensitive swimming is connect. There. Is one, shut down, slow down, and realise where all the points are. Have that awareness of that. Chapter 10, movement. Now what people don't realise in martial arts, they think it's all linear movement. They think it's like one here, step back, two, and then we move this way linear. That's good for form and basics. However, what you've got to remember is movement is very fluid. And there's actually two sections to movement. There's the periods of movement and the periods of non-movement. Now the best people who make martial artists are dancers in all honesty. If you get someone, ready Kevin? Right, so if we dance, yeah, this, if you watch, it's movement, non-movement, movement, non-movement, movement, non-movement. This is actually what happens in combat. So if we just slow a combat scene now, so you punch, yeah, stop, and again, just keep going. This is what we've got, yeah? It's movement and non-movement in this sense. So what you've got to do, you've got to realise where you can manipulate. So you can only manipulate in the movement section. So as we move, and then we move, manipulation comes, okay? So again, we dance and we dance around, yeah? It's only in the movement stage that we can manipulate. Up here, there. Here we go. Okay, now in non-movement, there's as much non-movement in combat as there is movement. So in non-movement, what you have to do is you have to strike. You manipulate in movement and strike in non-movement. As we go, non-movement. Yeah? This is what comes in. So in a combat situation, so we get to the point, you just run the attacker, just grab. Yeah? You've got this. You get to a point where you're in a non-movement and you can't move. You simply strike. When you're in a movement, so punch as we go through. Yeah, punch again. Yeah? There, we can manipulate, move. So we manipulate these things. In a non-movement, we will punch. So go there, and as we get to that point, this. Yeah, there's a non-movement there. We have to strike. As a fight starts, you will get somebody who will initiate movement. So as that movement comes in, there, they'll initiate the next movement. So what I've got to do is manipulate. And again, manipulate until it gets to a non-movement section, and I've got to strike. Yeah, in this sense. What we'll do now is we'll slow this down. So Ken will usually take a stance, and as he punches will affect his movement stage. So punch through, you've got to manipulate. It's as simple as that. So as he moves, manipulate. Now, if you get to a non-movement point, where here, you have to strike. In this sense, so again, so non-movement, yeah, we strike. Yeah, in this way. If it gets to a movement, we just simply manipulate. Chapter 11, the way in is the way out. A lot of the natural human being tries to react to a situation by going against it. So for example, if you lock Nick, so if Nick locks me, I'm feeling myself go over into an unsafe zone. What I automatically do is try and fight against it. And this only increases the pain on the lock. So what you've got to train your body to do is actually go the way in is the way out. So as you put that lock on, Nick, do it really slow. As that comes in, I've got to go with it and let it go out past its point. Okay, so as he puts this lock on, I've got to go with it and past. Because the point of the lock, as the lock comes on, is there. Now what I've got to do is put my body beyond that. So as you go for it, I've got to put my body beyond that and through. And that'll bring me out of the lock. If I go against that, I'm just locked. This is lock. So, what I must do is as that goes on, I'm sensitive to change and come out of the lock. Then affect the balance point and down we go. Again, for example, the headlock. Yep, here, this way. The way in is the way out. So if we go through this slowly, Nick, headlock me. Yep. What happens is this comes in this way, yeah? So as you go down, carry on and go out of it. It's because the way he's naturally going is this way. So the way in is the way out. Again, go for the headlock here. So in, the way out in that fashion. You get the lock. That's the way out. You still receive pain, and it still gets quite painful. However, it's not going to snap your arm. It's not going to lock your skeletal system. So one more time. Boom. That way. Okay. We're locking down. Chapter 12. Engage, stack, load and fire. Quite complicated principle, this one. Now first of all, you must engage with the other human. So as Mike, if we go into any type of combat scenario, there must be an engagement, and this is where you touch the other person for the first time. So as you go through it slowly, I must have this engagement. Okay, slow it down a bit more. So engage, there. From engage is then used to stack. Now by stack, what we mean is getting the joints of all the body, and we must compress the gaps between the joints. So from engage, then what we do is we stack. Now we'll go through this more later in locks. However, if you get this principle down, it will add to your ability to lock. So what we do is we need to compress the points down. Boom, boom, boom. And we need to get rid of the locks there. Now what we've got then is we've got engage, stack. Now load is where we push in, and you can feel that load, and then we get fire. Bang. Now fire is the hardest one to explain. It's more of a mental principle. It's not an anger, it's not a shock, but it's a, so engage, stack, load. Now the load is where it's like imagine you pull a gun back, and you go there, and then we fire. Okay? So we don't kill everybody's arms. So, engage, stack, load, fire. Yeah, in that sense. So there we go. So this comes in, engage, stack, load, fire. Boom. Now go through it. It's like we get to this point, the engage. But engage and stack are almost come to identical. So engage, stack, load, fire. Boom. There. Nick. So take a grab, engage, stack, load, fire. Boom, in that sense. And again, in this way, you got engage, stack, load, fire. Boom. Michael? So, you got engage, stack, load, fire. Boom. Engage, stack, load, fire. In that way. Kevin? Now, you get engage.